All right, welcome back to Wired-Tec. We're diving back into our history of artificial intelligence. Now, last time, we were right in the middle of AI's golden age, a time of sky-high optimism. I mean, everyone was convinced a truly thinking machine was right around the corner. The funding was flowing, and the promises, well, they were massive.
And I left you with a pretty big question. Was all that hype for real? Was it built on something solid, or was it all just a house of cards waiting for a breeze to knock it over? Well, today, we get the answer.
The answer? Oh, it was a brutal collapse, a total freefall. You see, the early pioneers had promised the world machines that could translate any language, understand you perfectly, and reason just like a person. But the technology just wasn't ready. The promises were huge, but the results? They were tiny.
And that huge gap between the hype and the reality, it led to something really dramatic. All that optimism from the golden age, poof, it just evaporated. The money taps were turned off, and this whole period got a very fitting name, the Great Freeze.
So, what kicked it all off? Well, the first domino to fall was this document called the Lighthill Report, back in '73. The British government brought in Sir James Lighthill, a brilliant mathematician, to basically audit the whole AI field. They wanted to know one simple thing: are we wasting our money?
And Lighthill's conclusion? Oof, it was absolutely devastating. I mean, this quote says it all. He basically said that none of it had actually delivered on those big promises. He just slammed AI for failing to solve real-world problems, pretty much calling the entire project a failure.
The impact of that report was catastrophic. Governments in the UK and then the US saw this assessment and just slammed the brakes on funding. I'm talking research labs shuttering, projects grinding to a dead stop. The entire field went into a deep freeze. And that, my friends, was the first AI winter.
But you know, even in the coldest winter, things can start to thaw. After years out in the cold, a new idea started to bubble up. Researchers started thinking, okay, maybe trying to build a machine that can think about everything was a bit much. What if we built a machine that could be an expert in just one thing? And this new way of thinking led to something called an expert system. The whole ambition of the field shifted. Instead of this grand general intelligence, the goal is now way more practical. Let's just copy the knowledge of a human expert, but for one very, very specific job. And because this new approach was so practical, it meant that for the first time ever, AI could actually get a real job. It could provide tangible, measurable value in the worlds of business and science. So how'd they work? Think of it like a giant digital rulebook. Programmers would literally sit down with a human expert, say a doctor or an engineer, and try to translate all their know-how into thousands of simple if-then rules. You know, stuff like, if the patient has a fever and a rash, then consider measles. A program called an inference engine would then just zip through all those rules to figure out a problem.
And get this, they were incredibly successful. You had systems like Mycin that could diagnose blood diseases more accurately than some junior doctors. Dendril was a huge help for chemists. And another one, XCon, saved a major computer company millions of dollars by configuring complex orders. This was it. This was proof that a narrow, focused AI could deliver real-world value. And just like that, a new AI boom was on.
But you know what they say about history, right? It has a nasty habit of repeating itself. This new AI boom, built on the success of expert systems, was actually built on a really fragile foundation. And yeah, you guessed it, winter was coming back. Here's why. These expert systems ran on these super specialized, crazy expensive computers called LISP machines. They were a nightmare to program and even harder to update. Every time new medical knowledge came out, some poor programmer had to go in and manually update all the rules. At the exact same time, cheap, powerful desktop PCs from Apple and IBM were starting to pop up everywhere. It didn't take long for companies to figure out it was actually cheaper to just hire another human expert than it was to buy and maintain one of these giant AI systems.
The economics just didn't work. So the market for these specialized AI machines, it collapsed almost overnight. That whole rule-based approach was just too rigid, too expensive, and way too hard to maintain. Funding vanished again, interest disappeared, and by the late 1980s, the second AI winter had officially arrived.
So AI was totally stuck. The big dream of a thinking machine had failed, and the more practical, rule-based approach had also failed. It really seemed like AI was just stuck in a permanent deep freeze, totally unable to learn on its own. But In the 1990s, one single world-famous board game match would change everything. It would be the signal that winter was finally ending. The question is, who won that match? We'll answer that question in the next part of our History of AI series. If you want to see how AI finally broke out of the cold for good, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Wired-Tec so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching.